Back when Disha and Abhinav Sharma applied for a home loan, they had to jump through all sorts of hoops before their application was eventually approved. Between all the paperwork, the agent visits, zeroing in on the payment and interest rate, the property assessment by the bank, the Indore based couple waited an entire month before their loan was approved. And this is not a one off example. The whole process of getting a loan here in India, and by that I mean any kind of loan, has been infamously painful and long winded. And that's mostly because of all the steps involved, each of which will typically be carried out by a bunch of different people at different levels of the banking and financial sector. But today, I come to you with both good news and bad news. The good news is that the whole process of getting your loan approved is now a whole lot faster than before. And that's because of the disruptor to end all disruptors, AI, or artificial intelligence, of course. You see, a bunch of companies have entered the scene with specialized AI tools to speed up different aspects of the loan approval process. So, just take Bangalore based Navank, for instance. This 2-year-old fintech counts players like Muthoot Finance, Vastu Housing Finance, and APAC Financial Services among its clientele. Its claim to fame is an AI tool that speeds up property evaluations, which happens to be the slowest part of the process. Usually, financial institutions need approval from an impaneled service provider who will visit the property and then either give a red flag or a green flag. And then this process is repeated over and over and over again. Now, with AI tools, the credit manager simply has to take photographs of the property. The AI tool analyzes these images and provides updates on the progress in construction. And voila, based on this data, bankers can assess property quality and make more objective, data driven decisions. This is just one example. Now, at first glance, it seems like a win win for both the borrower and the bank. This is particularly helpful in smaller cities and semi urban areas where housing projects often lack proper legal paperwork and don't have bank representatives stationed at developers' offices. But there is a catch. And that brings me to the bad news.
So Indian AI startups have managed to raise nearly 750 million US dollars in 2024. And banking and financial sector was one of the top drivers of this growth. But this surge has also come with a lot of scrutiny from the Reserve Bank of India. In fact, it even set up a committee to evaluate the usage of AI in banking and financial services. It's called Free AI.
That was the Ken reporter Akriti Bhalla. Like she said, the RBI has some very strong views on generative AI. It's hyper aware of the fact that with all the convenience comes a fair share of biases and errors. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Rahil Philippos, and I'll be joining my colleague Snigdha Sharma every day of the week to bring you one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Wednesday.
Hello, dear listeners. Did you hear the news last week about Amazon's Prime Video introducing ads on their platform next month onwards? It looks like India's OTT game is entering a whole new era. Ads are in, subscriptions are evolving, but what is really going on behind the scenes? And what does this mean for us, the viewers, and what does it mean for the world of advertising? This week, Swati Mohan, the ex head of marketing at Netflix India, will be joining Rahil and I for a chat on Daybreak. Swati is someone who has had a front row seat to the rise and the evolution of India's streaming giants. From the shift to an AVOD SVOD hybrid model to regional audiences rewriting the rules for OTT, this conversation is going to be packed with hot takes and sharp insights and some seriously good stories. So, watch out for the episode. And now, back to Rahil.
Let's talk about how a bank typically decides whether a particular customer is eligible for credit. Generally, it all comes down to the CIBIL score. Now, this is essentially a summary of your entire credit history. Based on this 3-digit score, a bank can assess whether someone qualifies for a loan and how much they can borrow. But the thing is, generally, the CIBIL score alone does not capture the full picture. It's easy to quote unquote hack the system. For instance, an applicant may have a great CIBIL score because they've taken and repaid a bunch of smaller loans. But that does not necessarily mean that they can afford a larger loan. Their CIBIL score may say otherwise. So it doesn't always reveal their true repayment capability. Now, that's exactly where Gen AI comes in. It could potentially help banks analyze spending and saving patterns, income levels, and much more. Basically, banks will be able to receive more granular data on loan applicants, things like their spending patterns and behaviors. Essentially, they'll have access to a broader set of data to assess credit worthiness, which will make the whole process a lot fairer. Just take Bangalore based startup Bureau, for instance. It offers tools to crunch, analyze, and visualize customer data, including behavioral patterns. These tools help banks, non banks, and fintechs determine when they should offer loans. But these AI tools can help with a lot more than just underwriting. They can also help with other functions. I'm sure you're aware of how sales teams at different financial institutions are usually going all out to meet targets towards the end of each quarter. Now, generally, it is the compliance team that bears the brunt of their enthusiasm. Because of the volume of applications, they generally perform basic hygiene checks, verifying addresses, Aadhaar info, and CIBIL scores, which ends up leaving scope for a lot of incomplete or fraudulent applications to slip through the cracks. Now, that is where Bangalore based Neurofin AI comes to the rescue. You see, tools like Neurofin's help spot errors related to legal and policy regulations that a human compliance officer may miss. The company's founder, Vijay Makhijiani, told the Ken that it acts as a gatekeeper for compliance. It also processes loan approval documents in 1/10 the time and for half the cost. One of its functions is to flag applications where agricultural land is provided as collateral, which isn't allowed under the RBI's rules. But all things considered, Gen AI startups can improve how we assess and monitor portfolio risks by providing better early warning systems. And that's important considering that currently the systems in place at banks and other financial institutions generally flag risks too late. AI enabled tools can help detect potential risks and areas of non compliance on a real time basis, making it possible to contain them before real damage is done. It isn't just helping with detecting risk, it's also helping with internal compliance. These tools help banks stay on top of regulatory requirements issued by bodies like the RBI and the SEBI. For instance, On Finance AI, a startup backed by Silver Needle Ventures and Indian Angel Network, developed a tool called NeoGPT Compliance OS Agent, which helps compliance officers track regulatory updates across different departments. Depending on the type of financial institution, whether a bank, non bank, or a mutual fund, NeoGPT creates a tailored compliance checklist. Whenever a new regulation or a circular is issued by a regulatory body, the tool scans it, identifies the necessary action for that particular financial institution, and then generates a checklist. So, a bank's checklist would be different from that of a mutual fund. But in the end, it comes down to the compliance officer to make sure that the required disclosures and reports are accurately submitted to the regulator. So it's not like human intervention is ruled out completely. Generally, banks and other financial institutions can take up to a year to vet generative AI tools before implementing them. But most of them seem convinced of the value they offer. Bajaj Finance, for instance, intends to scale the use of Gen AI across various loan categories. I know right now it may seem almost too good to be true, but don't be fooled. There's more to these AI tools than meets the eye. More on that in the next segment. Before we jump back in, I just wanted to share some exciting news with you. Daybreak is growing, and we are looking to grow our team too. Now, if you're a journalist who listens to Daybreak and thinks, I wish they'd cover this, or I know exactly what would make Daybreak even better, we would love to hear from you. We're looking for somebody who's curious, who's driven and passionate about business and tech news. If that sounds like you or somebody you know, please check out the details in the show notes. Applications are open now. And with that, let's get back to the episode. The thing is, algorithms like these aren't free from biases. And that's something the banking system just cannot dodge. The Ken spoke to 3 deep tech experts who said that generally these tools recycle the same biases baked into the system by humans. So, for instance, reports recently pointed out that lenders were far more likely to reject the loan applications of female entrepreneurs. Even when their socioeconomic backgrounds are identical to their male counterparts, their loan applications are often delayed or turned down. Then there's also an income bias. 60% of middle income households are credit underserved. Now, in this kind of situation, the stakes are very high because biased algorithms could lead to erroneous decisions. Or worse still, they can reinforce gender, racial, and other forms of discrimination. And this isn't just an India issue. Even in the Western world, in places like North America and countries across Europe, AI has been called out for discriminating against Black and Hispanic communities. But fintech firms working in the space argue that even with biases in the system, generative AI can be trained to correct them. Loan applications may have been rejected in the past because of the applicant's home address, gender, income, or socioeconomic background. The evaluation system would be triggered by any of these traits and tag the applicant as risky. With generative AI, however, the evaluation is more nuanced. Anil Tadimeti, the Director of Strategy and Regulatory Affairs at Bureau, said in this case, an applicant's own behavioral history is taken into account, not just the collective credit history of any cohort that they belong to. Plus, it can also help detect fraud. But still, the RBI isn't fully on board as yet. You see, while fintech founders and investors are betting on GenAI to disrupt banking, bankers and regulators are still treading quite carefully. The thing is, as things stand, there are no regulations that govern the use of AI in financial services. And therefore, there is a lot of risk involved in automating an industry that holds significant sway over the economy. Then there's also the issue of data security. Now, as per the RBI's regulations, non-banks are not allowed to outsource core functions like audits or compliance decisions to third parties. So while AI tools can help with decision-making, the final say has to lie with compliance officers. At the moment, generative AI adoption in banking is mainly limited to customer service functions, like those handled by chatbots or the grunt work of property evaluations. And so far, they've delivered decent results. But there is a way to go before they are ready to take on complex or risk-heavy assets. Until then, people like the Sharmas in Indore might be stuck waiting for months or dealing with PIN code bias that residents of Tier 2 cities endure during loan applications.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. Head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on the top of the website. Today's episode was hosted by Rahel Philippos and edited by Rajiv CN.